Hello, I'm Lisa Giuliani. I write political and social commentary for Signs of the Times. That's www.sot.net. I'm also a known protester. I'm a human rights activist, conscientious objector, and more importantly, I am a human being, a person who gives a damn. And with that in mind, I'd like to share with you the thoughts that I have, my observations, and some of my conclusions from my latest essay, Palestine, Pounding Fists on the Glass. I consider it a public service announcement, and if you'll indulge me, I'll begin. Thank you. Okay, here goes, my public service announcement. Bear with me. This won't take long. It's really painful to read the Facebook statuses of my friends in Palestine. The lack of electrical power every day, 12 hours a day every day, is ratcheting up the stress factor by leaps and bounds. There seems to be no end in sight. The economic chokehold being exerted upon the people of Palestine by Israel is horrible enough. The brutal and ongoing Zionist military occupation is merciless enough. The Israeli settler thug vandalism of private Palestinian properties and sacred spaces is disrespectful enough. The extreme blatant apartheid practices being implemented full force by the Israeli government crime syndicate and their military force, the IDF, the most gutless parade of psychopaths this side of the stratosphere, is cruel, humiliating, and disgusting enough. The overt hypocrisy of world leaders, and particularly of Western leaders, most specifically the man who calls himself my president, Obama, the drone-striking Nobel Peace Prize winner, and of Benjamin Netanyahu, both terrorists extraordinaire, is obvious and refutable enough. They're both psychopaths. The failure to provide a population with clean water, medical supplies, and basic necessities of daily life is, on its face, exasperating, infuriating, and despicable enough. To not allow them to do or provide for themselves is even worse. God knows they're trying. The daily parade of the dead before my eyes, many of whom are children, all of whom were innocent and undeserving of their fate at the hands of the most gutless psychopathic military force in the world, is inconceivable enough. To watch day by day as the Zionist boot stomps upon the necks of people who are being essentially bombed, bulldozed, and kidnapped from their homes, blindfolded, restrained, shot at, tortured, mocked, insulted, and treated with the most indescribable malice, venom, persistent, perpetual, and pathological ignorance, bigotry, and blind hatred is heart-splintering enough. It's heart-splintering. The cries of human beings forced to endure a nightmare that never pauses for breath are plaintive enough. The alarms being triggered every single time an Israeli warplane or sniper picks off one here, another there, a few more over that way. Every single time Israeli psychopaths breach that well-known lie formerly known as ceasefire, it is quite chilling enough. That was just last November, by the way, that ceasefire was being guaranteed by Egypt. But for a world to sit and pretend it's not happening, to plug your ears to the screams and cries, to focus your eyes and mind elsewhere, to turn your backs, to inexplicably not care, to remain silent, to separate yourself as if this is two worlds, two planets, when in fact it is not. To refuse to step forward and speak out against such gross inhumanity, to ignore and dismiss what's happening as if we have nothing at all to do with it, as if somehow it does not, it cannot, it never will touch us, That is perhaps the very worst I can be shown. The blood and body parts, yes, they're terrible enough to behold. But to observe, to be a party to sit among an apparently equally heartless, conscienceless, soulless circle of spectators who would rather play Farmville, rather not see or hear or know those who've sawed off whatever human piece of them that might have previously existed in their consistent efforts to avoid making any effort at all. This is more than enough. And every day, my friends in Gaza reach out, cry out for someone, anyone to help. And every night, they sit in the darkness, waiting for the sounds of warplanes to slice like buzzsaws through their skies. And the countdown begins again. The countdown to electrical power. The countdown to freedom. Every single day it's the same, and yet it's not the same. Every single day brings its own sorrow, despair, fear, and fury, and simultaneously there's laughter, there's song, there's dance, there's defiance, resistance, and the will to live. And the will to live is strong. There's a heartbeat there. There's hope, even when by all rights, by all evidence, by all appearances, the world intends to do nothing to help these people. Even when it comes to taking even the tiniest step toward making an effort, like speaking out, standing up, just saying no more. No more. So few people actually give a damn anymore, and they don't give a damn about anything. What exists in the macrocosm is well represented here in this androgynous think less tank of virtuality. My friends cry, and I cry with them. My heart cries with them. And I sit here, unable to do anything for them, but write and talk. I'm unable to be where they are. I'm unable to help, fix, correct, undo, change anything for them. And if I could, I'd trade places with them in a second. And I don't give a damn how insane that sounds. Why? Why? Because the people over in Palestine have not lost their ability to care about one another, to care about other people. And that's something that I see very little of in my own country, here in the United States, and very little of in the world. Yes, everybody's helping and wants to help the people in the Philippines, and I'm thankful for it. Is that what it takes? A natural disaster, a typhoon, to garner world empathy? Or maybe it takes a false flag operation like 9/11. Trading places with them would at least be something real. Some real effort. Not some bullshit token gesture. Not just pitiful, pathetic words falling upon deaf, virtual ears and blind eyes and medicated minds. Not just lip service. The fact that we allow people anywhere in this world to be mistreated and stripped of their dignity and their lives over and over, while we continue on with our own as if nothing's going on, applauding and honoring our veterans with their own psychopath-designated token day of the year, as we watch them fall, as we watch them homeless on the street, tens of thousands of them, boggles the mind. While millions around the world scream and fall. And we don't care? That's more than enough for me to bear. There's no justification, no excuse, no reason. There is no reason that makes it better. No words to make me understand how people can just sit there and not say a fucking word, as if in some kind of other unfeeling unreality. I don't understand how you, who call yourselves human, can be so mechanical, so unfeeling, so uniform, like mannequins. How you can blend so well, so evenly into both the whitewash and the lie. I don't understand how you sleep at night, or how you look yourself in the eye every day. I don't get that. I don't know how you can use the word love either, without grasping that the word love encompasses so much more than self and country. It transcends borders and those spaces into which it's been stuffed, reshaped, narrowly redefined, pigeonholed, and compartmentalized. Do you get that? I don't understand how you, who call yourself human, do not care like I care. I can't even fathom that. I can't fathom it at all. And you don't even pretend to give a shit at all. I'm called emotional, and my response to that is I'd rather be an expressive human being that's emotional, a person of conscience, of empathy, than to be a drone. And don't give me all the excuses about people being brainwashed, and it's not their fault, they don't know, and what can we do? You know how to open your mouth when you want to open your mouth. You know how to open your mouth when it's something that directly affects you, or when some media personality pushes your buttons and you respond like a Pavlovian dog. Like you did with 9/11. Just saying. Excuses. That's all we seem to pass on to one another anymore. Everyone's too busy to care. Too busy to care about anyone but themselves. Lame excuses, bullshit reasons, weak justifications for not caring, for not doing. Who concerns themselves with this? Very few, I dare say. That a very fundamental thing about our species, that critical component that makes us truly human, has left the building. It's missing, and it's been gone for a long time now, and few seem to be looking for it, and hardly anyone even wonders where it went. I don't know what else to do but keep trying, even as my friends beat frantically upon the glass. And that's what I'm doing. I'm beating upon the glass. They're begging the world, and so am I. They're begging the world, not just me, to see them, to hear them, to care at all, to do something, to say something, to notice that they're being murdered. Humanity is choking. And let me just tell you this too. Since I wrote this piece and other things have come to light, because of the electrical power outages being imposed upon the people of Palestine, of Gaza, sewage is now overflowing into the streets of villages and into the camps. People are being forced to wallow in their own waste. And right now, the way it stands, Israel doesn't need to even fire a single shot to murder Palestinians. They don't have to deploy a single warship or gunboat or warplane. They don't have to rush in another tank. They don't have to lob any more tear gas canisters or rubber bullets or live ammunition. Because all they have to do right now is sit and watch like the rest of the world as disease takes over, as the bacteria becomes so overwhelming and the water becomes so contaminated. And with dwindling medical supplies, the Palestinians will drop like flies. Israel doesn't have to fire another shot. Are we going to sit here and let this happen and not say a word? Humanity is choking. But keep playing Farmville and Candy Crush. In my opinion, we failed as a species. We failed ourselves. We failed one another. We're failing our next generation, if there is to be one. Ignore the pounding fists on the glass. Ignore mine. I'm still going to keep pounding. And hey, you've reached the next level. Hooray for you. I get a lot of flack about my harsh tone when I write. So I used a quote from Voltaire on this piece at sot.net. And the quote is very brief. It begins, "You are very harsh." And my response is Voltaire's response. I have seen the world. How about you? Thanks for listening. Just a few more words. Regarding international law and the occupation of Palestine, the Red Cross has noted over and over that Israel violates the terms of the Geneva Convention, GC4, which spells out, defines the rules of war and occupation, military occupation of a civilian population. How has Israel been allowed to get away with this for so long? Well, look at Obama. Look at the drone strikes in Pakistan. Look at all the places the United States has illegally invaded, attacked, all the civilians that have been killed since 9/11. Just look from 2001. Is it obvious to anybody else out there that there is no one enforcing international law? The International Red Cross is supposed to be monitoring the situation. They're the ones that go in and check out the conditions in occupied Palestine and write them down and issue these reports. Well, the Red Cross doesn't want the responsibility of enforcing international rule of law. The United Nations is not enforcing the rule of international law. they come up with these resolutions. They see Israel in violation, but they don't do anything about it. And as a side note, Israel was instrumental, United Nations was instrumental in the creation of the faux state of Israel, so they're not going to be any help. The ICC, the International Criminal Court, is not doing anything about Israel's crimes against humanity, Israel's war crimes, numerous war crimes. Nobody wants Obama to do it, for obvious reasons. He's a psychopath and a terrorist. That leaves the court of public opinion. That leaves people like you. And the longer you remain silent, the more you align yourself with the psychopaths, with the terrorists, and the more people will die. Not just in Palestine. In any place, the United States and Israel, and remember, United States policy is Israel's policy. Any place where there is a resource that these Zionist psychopaths, these elites, want, that they want to seize, is in the sights. The longer you remain silent, the more complicit you become in war crimes, in crimes against humanity. Because there is no compelling authority to enforce international rule of law. If there were someone, some entity, some organization, some official body to do that, then we should have seen a lot of heads rolling regarding 9/11 or the USS Liberty attack or drone strike campaigns in Pakistan or arming rebels, mercenaries, and extremists in Syria or bombing Yemen or attacking Libya, Lebanon, North Africa. There's no compelling authority, and there's no one enforcing international law. This is a placating measure, a placating gesture to placate you, the public. It's all for the benefit of public consumption, just like politics as usual. It's on paper. It's to shut you up. That's all it's for. If it amounted to anything real, Israel would not be allowed to do any of these things it's doing. And the reason Israel really wants that land has nothing to do with any kind of religious right. It has to do with resources and land theft. And Israel, while collecting billions and billions of dollars in United States taxpayer funds, because, we pay for all this murder and stuff going on over there. While collecting the handouts, the free handouts from the United States taxpayer, Israel simultaneously profits off of stealing and controlling Palestinian resources. It's quite profitable, quite lucrative for the Israeli government psychopaths, for that crime syndicate. And no one's stopping them. And that is a total blatant violation of international law. So you might want to ask yourself, what does international law really mean? What does it do? Why do we even have it? Why do we even have international law if no one's going to enforce it? No one's going to be held accountable. It's a free-for-all. There's no way to hold these governments accountable unless the people of the world hold them accountable. And if the best that we can do is raise our voices as one against this incredible evil being unleashed on the world, then By God, don't we have a responsibility and obligation to do that? I think we do. Thank you very much for listening. See you on the net.